Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we'll be going over a full card predictions for Amanda Lemos versus Jandroiba. Obviously breaking down things from a picks, prediction standpoint, and from a betting perspective as well. So yeah, make sure to like, comment, share the video, get it out there, get this amazing information out there for you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Of course, we are a betting channel. You know, I'm here to make money. So make sure you guys have a bankroll. Make sure you guys manage your risk very, very correctly. Keep in mind, you're trying to grind, marathon mindset. You know, don't rush the process. Like, you're not gonna get rich from next event. Just grind, accumulate profits over time. And the betting process is an ongoing battle, right? So keep an eye on the various line movements, see if some value opens up. So let's get right into the breakdowns. So, first fight of the night, we have Mohammed Usman versus Thomas Petersen. So, Usman is, well, Kamaru Usman's brother, and they have a very, very drastic style changes. You know, so Usman, famous for being the big bro of Kamaru. Now, when it comes to his style, he's like a big physical specimen of a heavyweight, and he mainly has like a striking style instead of like a grappling, relentless style of wrestling. He's mainly got a boxing style of attack, and he's a guy who has like periods of inactivity, and he looks to be patient, and then when he does throw strikes, he looks to throw hard and attack and explode. And when he does explode, he's not a guy who looks for like haymakers or like hooks, like a lot of these like exploding type of fighters do. He's more of a guy who looks for like explosive, traditional boxing shots like jabs and crosses and straights. Now, when it comes to his grappling, he likes to use his strength, size, and physicality. They're more skill. But let's put it this way, like, you don't want Usman, 265-pound heavyweight on top of you. Now, Thomas Petersen, on the other hand, like on the feet, he's like a southpaw striker. He uses like a volume approach, and then when he looks to close the distance, he looks to kind of like switch stances, and then he looks to kind of land, and he looks to like set up his boxing shots. And he's like, one thing I've noticed with Petersen, he's quite composed in there, even if like people are throwing heat at him. And he's got like quite a unique style for heavyweight, I would say, but he is more of a wrestler. He's willing to engage in a clinch. He looked to mix up his wrestling style of grappling, and he has like good takedown wrestling entries, and he can get some body lock takedowns as well. I actually think he's like a pretty good wrestler for heavyweight. Obviously, like, heavyweight's not full of really top level wrestlers. Like, if you put him up against Curtis Blades, then yeah, I'm gonna pick Curtis Blades or Gelton Almeida, but you know, it's a rarity in that division. And he did fight Waldo Cortez Acosta, was it basically 2 years ago. He was able to secure some takedowns against him, but he did obviously lose that fight. Now, tricky fight for me to predict this one. I think everyone's going to be picking Usman. I have a feeling that Petersen could turn out to be quite good, but what makes this fight tricky for me to predict is I have to make a bit of assumptions with Usman's defensive grappling aspect of the game. But I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick Usman still, because I do think he is more proven. He's more tested. His offensive grappling looks pretty good, and he is a big physical specimen. So I'm going to go with a safer option and pick Usman. Betting perspective, let's look at the current line. So Usman's around 1.69, Petersen at 2.25. I mean, currently at this moment, how I'm feeling, it's not really a fight that I'm like looking to target from a betting perspective. You know, there's a lot of unknowns with the defensive wrestling aspect, and I have a feeling that Petersen could turn out to be sneaky good. But so yeah, if loads of Usman money comes in and we get Petersen as a big underdog or a bigger underdog, I might force a little bit of action on him. But yeah, one to think about. No rush to bet this complex fight, in my opinion. So, next fight we have here, we got Luana Carolina versus Lucie Pudilová. Now, who should we start off with? We'll start off with Carolina. So, Carolina, she's mainly a striker. She's got a Muay Thai kind of style of striking. She likes to throw both hands and kicks. And what she likes to try and do is she likes to try and maintain a distance against her opponents and kind of fight on the outskirts and then on the edges. She is not like the most athletically gifted fighter, but she's been improving her takedown defense over the years, and she's quite hard to hold down and take down nowadays, especially against the cage and the fence. Now, Pudilová, on the other hand, she was a fighter who was cut from the UFC a couple of years ago, but she managed to work her way back into the promotion. Her style, she looks to be aggressive, push a pace on her opponents. She mainly has like a boxing style of attack. She can fight on the outside too, but I think her best style is when she's the one pushing the pace, being aggressive. When it comes to wrestling, she's been improving her wrestling over the years, especially her offensive one. She got some nice takedown entries against Edwards, but Edwards is pretty easy to take down. Against Perez, she was getting dominated for 2 rounds with the wrestling, but Perez kind of slowed down and she had a very, very strong round 3. And talking of the Edwards fight, I did think she won that fight. So I think this is a well-matched fight, prediction standpoint. I think both fighters are at a similar level. I think Lucie's probably going to come forwards, push a pace, try and land a boxing, get inside the pocket, mix up some grappling, while I think Carolina's going to want to find the outskirts, outstrike her, and defend the takedowns. But I'm going to pick Carolina here because I think she might just be the better striker here. I think she can probably fight on the outside. And, I don't think it's going to be a pretty fight, but I think she's going to edge out a close competitive decision. Now, let's look at things from a betting perspective. So, Carolina actually opened 1.45. So that's interesting. So the bookmakers are like, look, we're going to have Carolina as a favourite. I think that line was a little bit too wide. Personally, I would have Carolina as the favourite. So I see why the better market came in on Lucie Pudilová. But at this current moment, I'd rather be on the Carolina side from a betting perspective, personally. So yeah, I'm going to pick Carolina to win this fight. Low confidence though. It's likely going to be a competitive fight. So, next fight we have here, we got Loik Radzhabov versus Trey Ogden. Now, I'm low-key looking forward to this fight. So, who should we start off with? We'll start off with Loik. So, Loik is a powerhouse. He's like quite a physically big, imposing 155er. And to be honest, he could probably fight at welterweight. I say his style is to be more physical, use his size and be a brute and throw with power than be a guy who relies on speed, skill and technique like a lot of guys that do at 155. Because he carries so much muscle, I've noticed that he does seem to slow and start to fatigue as the fight progresses. What else? I mean, it does seem like if you are kind of able to take him down, then he can look weak off his back, like against Rebecca. But he does use his physicality and size to find a way back to get back up to his feet. When it comes to his offensive grappling, again, a fighter who relies on his physicality, size, and power when it comes to his grappling aspect. Now, Trey Ogden, on the other hand, he's known for being a top-class coach. And he's a fighter who relies on using good game plans, fighting smartly, and fighting optimally against opponents because he's not the most athletically gifted, talented fighter. Now, he's got good offensive grappling skills. He can secure takedowns, can control his opponents on the ground, and he looks pretty heavy on top. When it comes to his striking, he looks to kind of fight on the outside. He likes to take as little risk as possible. He'll throw a range of boxing and kicks, and he tries to fight like tactical, fight on the outside, counter strike, pick his shots very carefully. He's a guy who likes to use lateral movement and definitely likes to avoid like a brawl, and I think he feels uncomfortable getting hit, so he likes to avoid a lot of these striking exchanges. Now, how they match up, I think Ogden's going to counter strike, fight on the outside, and look to mix up his wrestling, while I think Loik is going to look to be aggressive, push a pace, be a brute, be a force, and win in that kind of manner. Tricky fight, close fight to predict. Like, a lot of these fights are hard to predict. But you know what? I'm going to pick the underdog here in Trey Ogden. Now, from a betting perspective, so Ogden open plus 150, money's been coming in. I respect the action. I can definitely see why. I think this fight's going to have strong opinions on both sides of the spectrum. So yeah, but I'm going to pick Trey Ogden. A lot of people say I always pick things low confidence, but I do think this is a well-matched fight, so it's going to have to be a low confidence. I can never be one of those guys who's going to be mega confident on all my bets and all my reads, right? So yeah, let's get on to the next fight here. So we got Miranda Maverick versus Dione Barbosa. So who should we start off with? I'll start off with Maverick. So Maverick, her style is mainly like a wrestling style of grappler, and she'll often like use her physicality to be able to secure takedowns. She's like very like muscular and big for that weight class. And when it comes to like her shoots, she's got like the classic wrestling style of entries, such as like single legs. If Maverick does get on top of you and then she is able to secure the takedown, she does look quite heavy on top. When it comes to her striking, she's been improving her striking over the years. She's like a southpaw. She'll mix up her attacks, utilizing a variety of kicks, punches. And what I like with Maverick is that she'll layer her attacks. So she'll go low, go high, and give her opponents like different looks instead of like just like headhunting. Now, her potential overall ceiling, like a lot of people at one point thought she could be a top level contender, a former champion, but the hype's kind of died down on her. Now we go to Dione Barbosa. She's mainly a grappler. She's a BJJ style of grappler and a BJJ black belt. She looks pretty athletic. I definitely think she's been making improvements fight to fight, and you know, I think she looks like a lot physically bigger and more muscular nowadays. So make of that what you will. So Barbosa striking, she's been improving her striking as mentioned, and she looked quite good in round one against Ernesta. She looks to have like mainly like a kickboxing Muay Thai style on her feet, but she did kind of fatigue against Ernesta. It looked like a bit of an adrenaline dump to me, so I'm not willing to just completely write it off. I think she does have some potential. How these two match up, prediction standpoint, I think this is going to be a competitive fight. I think it likely goes to a decision, but I'm going to go with a safer pick in Miranda Maverick here, because I think she is more tested, especially against high-level girls. Let's look at the betting line. So some money's been coming in on Maverick. She opened 1.67 and now she's down to like 1.45. You know what? I agree with the opener more from a better perspective. I do more cap this line 60-40 for Maverick. But I have a feeling that Barbosa could come into this fight and surprise us. So for that reason, I am kind of cautious. So yeah, I'm going to pick Maverick here, and I think she grinds out a competitive decision. So next fight we have here, we got Brian Boom Kelleher versus Cody Gibson. So Kelleher, he is a UFC veteran. He's fought some tough guys, right? Especially in the past 3 fights. He fought Cody Garbrandt, former champ. He fought Mario Bautista, contender. Uma, potential former, well, I was going to say former potential champion. and he's just been facing tough guys. I do think he's on a decline. He's 37, almost 38. He's been in a lot of fights, a record of 24 and 15. He's mainly got like a boxing style on the feet, and he's like an okay grappler too. Now Gibson, on the other hand, he's more of like a blood and guts style of fighter. He's going to come forward, push a pace, look to land combinations, and he's a very, very tall, long, rangy bantamweight. He's 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. So how these two match up? I think Kelleher is on a decline. Hopefully he doesn't see this video. I think he does like bet on fights. So, well, actually they can't. UFC fighters, they can't bet on fights anymore, can they? Otherwise, you know, they're going to end up like James Krause. But so with all that said, I'm going to pick Gibson here because I think he is the much like fresher fighter. I think even though like they're both similar ages, like I think Gibson's more in his prime. So I'm going to have to pick him here. Let's look at the betting odds. So, betting perspective. So Gibson's around 1.50, he opened 1.38. I think Kelleher will be a popular underdog this week. But I'm just going to have to go with Gibson here personally. From a betting perspective, obviously it's quite a steep line to pay. The bookies, the market, they're saying that Kelleher is on a decline. So I am going to have to agree with Gibson being a decent side favourite. 1.50, it's not too appetizing of a price. Maybe if loads more Kelleher money comes in, then that'll give me a much tougher decision to make. And yeah, cool. So, the next fight we have here, we got Hyder Amil versus Yeong Lee. So, we'll start off with Hyder. So, Hyder is a southpaw. He looks to throw both hands and kicks. He's a high pressure, high volume pressure fighter. He'll look to throw bombs and he'll look to throw hard. He does seem to slow down and he starts to breathe heavier as the fight progresses, but it makes sense, right? If you're putting everything into your shots. And he has the will to win, so I'm going to just completely write him off. He's a very, very scrappy, gritty fighter, more than like a skilled, proficient technician. He can mix up his offensive wrestling grappling. I say he's like an okay offensive grappler, but he's more of a striker and uses his wrestling to kind of mix things up and give his opponents different looks inside the cage. If he is taken down, he can scramble back up to his feet, but I'll say overall his wrestling grappling game is not his strongest suit. He's more of a striker. So Lee, on the other hand, he's got a boxing style on the feet. He looks to be pretty sharp. He looks pretty fast. He's got fast hands and he's very heavy on his lead leg because he does like to use boxing a lot. He has decent footwork as well. So he's like a capable defensive grappler as well. I feel like if he can get pushed against the fence and control there, but he knows the right things to do to escape those positions, but he's not like super, super smooth and slick with it yet. So how these two match up, prediction standpoint, this is a tricky fight again. I say Lee has more like upside, more potential, and I think he has the overall higher ceiling as a whole. He is slightly younger, but Hyder's probably going to come forward, push a pace, make an uncomfortable fight. Lee's probably going to want to fight on the outside, look to counter strike as Hyder comes in. You know what? I think the line, let's look at the betting line now. So Hyder is currently a 2.7 underdog. Lee is 1.50. I think this fight has potential to play out competitive, close. So I'm going to go with the underdog here. I think there's more value on the underdog here. If his line was a bit closer, if we were getting Lee, let's say 1.7, maybe even 1.65, then I'll be more inclined to pick him because I do think he has more upside potential. But I think Hyder could probably give Lee a decent test, make an uncomfortable fight, and possibly look to grind out a competitive fight. I don't see a blowout from either fighter. I think if there's a complete blowout, then it's more likely gonna be from the Lee side. But yeah, don't want this to be a cop out. Tricky fight to predict. Well matched fight, but I'm gonna go with the value with the underdog in Hyder. So next fight we have here, we got Choi versus Bill Algeo. Now, this good fight. Looking forward to it. Who should we start off with? We'll start off with Bill. So he's a very, very confident fighter. That's one thing that's come to my mind that I've noticed with him. He has quite a unique style. So he's got like a karate stance. He likes to have his hands down low, use his head movement as a form of defense. You'll switch stances. You'll throw with volume. You throw a wide range of kicks, punches, and mix things up on all things instead of just like headhunting. He's also a BJJ black belt. Now, when we go to Choi, he's mainly a striker, boxing style of attack, sharp, crisp hands, and he showed a good low calf kick against Nelson. One thing that I've noticed with Lee is that he's just not being very, very active, right? So his last fight was, I think he was in military service, so last fight was 1 year, 5 months ago. Before that, it's 4 years ago, 6 years ago. Well, Bill's just been much, much more active. I think activity is important for fighters. Obviously, you can take things to extreme, right? Because Bill, you got KO'd. It wasn't like a bad KO, but he did get dinged and hurt just 3 months ago. But I like how Bill's just been more active and making use of his prime. So, prediction. I'm going to pick Bill Algeo here. I think it is the safer pick due to his just general activity, his well-rounded skill set. If I was capping this fight, I'll probably have Bill 55 to 60%. So yeah, let's look at the betting line. So Bill's round 1.61. I think that's a fairly accurate line. You open 1.59, money came straight in, went down to 1.36. At 1.36, I think that's probably too wide of a line, so I can see why money came back in on Durden or Choi, but I think at the current moment, the line's fairly accurate, but I am going to pick Bill here. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of confidence on the side, but for me, it's just going to be a low level confidence pick. But yeah, because Bill does tend to fight quite close to his opponent. So yeah, overall, I'm going to go with Bill. So next fight we have here, we got Cody Durden versus Bruno Bulldog Silva. Just taped this one a couple hours ago. So let's get into it. So Silva, again, like one thing that really stands out with me with Silva is like he's been very inactive. Last fought 1 year ago, 4 months ago, 3 years ago before that, and then 3 years ago again. So he's been very inactive. He's only averaging like a fight a year. When it comes to his style, when it comes to striking, he looks to throw with power more than like a volume approach. He is also willing to switch stances, and his style looks to be explosive and powerful. He's like a good level offensive grappler too, I'd say. Is a good level, but is not like his primary focus. He can defend takedowns, like against Tegir, like he was working his way back up to the feet against Tegir, who is a strong offensive grappler. But I think Tegir's a guy who's been making improvements over the years. But yeah, as a general rule, he prefers to keep the fight standing, right? So when we go to Durden, he's mainly got like a relentless wrestling, grappling style. On the feet, he looks to use head movement, look to put a pace, pressure on his opponents, put them on the back foot, look to swing, land heavy shots, and then look to set up his grinding wrestling style. He fights hard for 3 rounds, but he does look like he starts to breathe heavy after the first round, which makes sense with his style, with how relentless he is. Prediction standpoint, man, this is another tricky fight. I think it's a very well-matched fight. It's going to be a close fight. Kind of struggling to pick a winner here. I'm kind of 50-50 with this one. Let's look at the betting line. So the betting line has Cody Durden as a very slight favourite. I think there's going to be strong opinions on both sides of the fight here. You know what? I'm going to pick Bruno Silva. Say he's going to land the hardest shots, but tricky fight to predict. This is one that I might change my opinion on throughout the week. Don't want this to be a cop out, but yeah, tricky fight, very well matched fight, competitive fight. I think both fighters match up very well. So yeah, I'm going to go with Silva, low confidence, but I think this one I need to think about a bit more. I don't know if I could bet this one just because I think it is very well matched fight. And I think it likely goes to scorecards, and yeah, I think both fighters are going to have their moments. So next fight we have here, we got Kurt Holober versus Kyan Kozabeshki. Sorry if I'm butchering that, guys. Probably embarrassed myself there with the pronunciation. So I'm just going to call him Kyan. So Kyan, when it comes to his style, he's got like a high guard. He's got like a Muay Thai style, I'd say. He's a little bit stiff, a little bit rigid. But like, normally when I say stuff like that, it means like the guys are very, very low level. But he's not awful by any means. He's decent. Now he's also a BJJ black belt, capable BJJ style of grappler. I say his defensive grappling is better than his defensive grappling. Like his defensive grappling looked weak against, the guy's name's skipping my mind. It was like Snake or something. John Snake. Yeah, his defensive grappling didn't look great. And like on the feet, you know, he's going to mix it upright, throw hands and kicks, and you can have like a pretty basic Muay Thai style. Now when we go to Kurt Holober, he looks to mainly be like a pressure striker, mainly got like a boxing style on the feet. I mean, his defensive grappling looks weak. He can get taken down, and he's often willing to chill on his back. So close fight. I think it's a tricky card for picks and predictions in general, but even though he's almost 38, I'm going to go with Kurt Holober here. I think he's a little bit more proven. I think he'd give Kyan a uncomfortable fight, but not mega super confident about it. Let's look at a betting line. So yeah, some money's been coming on a Kurt. Oh wow, so he actually opened as a 1.44 favourite. So the bookies, the odds makers, they thought Kurt Holober wins the fight about 70%. I don't know about that one. I see why money came in on Kyan and flipped him to a favourite, but I'm going to go with the underdog here. I think he's a little bit more tested. I think he put a pace, put a pressure, but yeah, tricky fight to predict, one match fight. So next fight we have here, we go to Steve Garcia versus Sung Woo Choi. Another bang of a fight this. I think this fight's going to be, it can have potential to be very violent per se. So who should we start off with? We'll start off with Garcia. So Garcia, he's got a southpaw boxing style. He's got quite a like unique style. It's quite like kind of trying to figure the best words to describe it. It's kind of like tangy style. He throws with like intensity, power on the feet. He's a guy who often likes to throw like looping shots instead of like straight punches. He's more of like a wild man, I'd say, than like a skilled, tactical, traditional boxer. I say he's got good boxing inside the UFC. I'm worried about both fighters' durability, but I am worried about Garcia's durability because he got dropped in fights like Nuran Shambi, sorry, I'm butchering that name, Machate. He even got hurt against Charlie Ontiveros. He's a capable grappler, I'd say, but that's obviously not a strong suit, right? I say he's a better defensive grappler than a defensive one, but his main style is to keep the fight standing, look to land his boxing. Now, when we go to Choi, I mean, he is quite the athletically gifted fighter. He has a lot of talent. His style is to mainly be a striker as well. Mainly got a boxing style as well. He throws good kicks too, but boxing is his preferred method of shot selection. He's got a high guard, has very, very crisp, fast boxing, and he's a very, very nice left hook. But the problem with Choi is that he's prone to making like really, really bad decisions in fight. And again, this is another guy where I'm worried about his durability issues, which can often like lead to him getting hurt badly in fights. And you get quite reckless when he's hurt, like against Trezano. Trezano clipped him and he just comes forward swinging recklessly. I mean, I think it's a quite complex fight, one-match fight. I think both fighters have similar skill sets. I'm going to go with Garcia though. I kind of think he's more trustworthy than Choi. I think both guys are kind of glass cannons, but I think I trust Garcia more. I think he's going to make it a brawl, and I think that type of fight suits Garcia more than it suits Choi. So let's look at the betting line. So Garcia currently around 1.69. Now, I think that's a fairly accurate line. This is a fight where I don't think you can make either fighter like a huge favourite. But yeah, I'm going to go with Garcia here. If I was capping this fight, I'd probably cap Garcia like 55 to 60%. So yeah, give me Garcia. Low confidence though. So we go to the co-main event of the evening. So we got Brad Tavares versus Yeong Park. Now, Tavares, he's a solid kickboxer, utilising both his hands and kicks, and he likes to throw in combinations. Obviously, Tavares is known for having elite takedown defense. He's extremely hard to take down and control. Obviously, because he's been working his takedown defense all these years, because he's a striker, he wants to keep fights standing right. Now, Park, on the other hand, he's got like a boxing style of attack. He's a fighter who likes to fight at a steady pace, at a steady tempo. He's a capable offensive grappler too. You know, on paper, if you watch the film, you watch the footage, especially if you watch Tavares' like old fights, I think I can see why people would want to bet on Tavares as a big underdog, pick him, etc. But I do think he's past his prime. I do think he's on a decline. He's 36. He's had a lot of fights. He's been in some tough fights, tough wars. Obviously, I'm not super duper confident on Park just because, like, when I look at the fight film and the fight footage, like, it should be like a competitive striking fight. But I'm gonna have to go with Park here. I think he's able to grind out a win. I think he's gonna pressure him. I don't know if he can get a lot of grappling going, but I think he's gonna pressure him, land some boxing shots, look to like push Tavares against the fence, you know, win that kind of grinding fight. So yeah, from a betting perspective, let's see. So Tavares 2.55. So it was actually a pick 'em. Money came in on Park. I pick him. I definitely would have taken Park for a smaller bet. 2.55 underdog. I know a lot of guys online are picking Tavares. I get it. Like, you watch the fight film, you watch the footage. So maybe more money comes in on Tavares, which makes Park more playable. But 1.56, pretty steep price to pay. So yeah, I'm going to pick Park though. I think he gets the job done, probably via decision. So we'll go to the main event of the evening. Make sure to like, comment, sub, show love to the video. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So main event of the evening, we've got a very well-matched fight. Definitely a classic striker versus grappler type of matchup. Got a striker in Lemos, got a grappler in Jandiroba. Jandroiba, high-level BJJ black belt style of grappler. She looks like kind of timer wrestling entries, and she does have good shoots. She has like wrestling style of entries, single legs, double legs, slick back take, heavy on top, willing to fish for submissions as well. On her feet, she's pretty basic, rudimentary. She's been improving her striking over the years though, but she's definitely obviously not the most comfortable on the feet, and her strong suit and her style is predominantly BJJ style of grappling. On the feet, she just doesn't really throw a lot of diversity, jabs, crosses. Lemos, on the other hand, explosive, powerful, heavy-handed striker, very athletic on the feet. Looks to land heavy, powerful low kicks, powerful hands. I was impressed with the lateral movement she showed against Mackenzie Dern in round 1. Does become less explosive and powerful as the fight progresses. Kind of say the same thing for Jandroiba as well. I think Lemos is a dangerous fight for anyone in the division. How they match up, prediction standpoint, classic grappler versus striker matchup as mentioned. I could see Lemos having the bigger moments. I think at any time on the fight right, we could see a situation where Jandroiba is having success with grappling. Lemos is able to work her way back up to the feet, land a couple hard bombs. That's enough to seal the rounds. And at the same time, I could see Werner having a lot of grappling success. I'm going to pick Werner here. Low confidence though. Very well matched fight. Lemos is prone to having very, very big moments in the fight. But I'm going to ride with the grappler here. If I was capping this fight, probably go 55 to 60% on Werner Jandiroba. So yeah, let's look at the betting line. Betting line's fairly accurate in my opinion. I think this is going to be a fight that's going to have strong opinions on both sides of the spectrum. But yeah, I'm personally going to pick Werner Jandiroba. I'm going to pick the grappler. So, end of presentation. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, sub. Let me know who you guys are picking. And yeah, good luck with your bets this weekend. Good luck with your predictions. Good bankroll management, good risk management, all that cliche stuff. Marathon, not a sprint. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Really, really do appreciate it.